Hi, you're watching Mountain Mode Episode 1. Today I'm going to take a look at an old piece of gear and see how it holds up in the cockpit in 2020. I did my flight training back in the early 2000s when most of our lecturers for ground school were older Air Force navigators. They were taught and they grew up and they operated in a world where paper, maps and pencils and whizzy wheels were how you did things and how you navigated. Jump ahead to today in 2020 and just about all aircraft have got some kind of GPS on board, some kind of electronics. Even if you don't have that, you probably have something on your iPad that is a lot more powerful than what was in cockpits back in the early 2000s. And I feel like there was a period in between there where people no longer really learned how to navigate properly with maps and paper, but they also didn't really know how to use GPS. I feel like those were the days where people would take off, put something in an old GPS and hope for the best. A while ago I was going through some old flight gear and I found this, Magellan GPS 300. You can't really get a more basic GPS, and what I thought would be really fun and interesting is to see if this thing fires up, take it on a flight today, and just kind of see how it holds up in the cockpit in 2020. So that's what I'm going to do, and we'll take a look and see how it goes. The first time that I tried to switch it on, nothing happened, which was weird. I changed the batteries, even though the ones that were in were full, and then it worked. So it switched on just fine. Otherwise it would have been a very short video. And I started the timer to see how long it would take after a couple of years of not being switched on, how long it would start. First I went through the EZ start procedure, which was to select which continent you're on, and then country. I think it was elevation and date and time. And that just gives it a basic idea of what to look for. So I went through that setup, started the timer, and left it outside at the airport with a good clear view of the sky to see how long it would take. I checked in after a couple minutes and it had done nothing much. It had not really found any satellites. I then went back outside and checked after 15 minutes and it had actually locked on. So I'm not sure exactly after how long, but at least after 15 it had found the satellites and locked on. After that I switched it off and switched it on again to see how quick it would take to find them again, and took about 2 minutes or so, which is not bad for an old GPS. You'll notice on the screen at the bottom right it shows you how many satellites you have, and once it's locked on it will say tracking at the bottom. So I walked around a bit to test that it was working, and it was doing just fine in the walk. Just through the climb now, I'm just continuing with my further climb. Gives me a chance to take a look at what information we've got here. So far this GPS is doing a good job, just pointing me straight to where I need to be going. You'll see on this screen it's giving me my bearing and my heading, which if I can just keep those two matched, that'll take care of the wind. It's kind of hard to get no glare on the screen, but you can see at the top right there distance and my ground speed at the bottom. So on this straight leg, pretty easy just to follow the line, adjust for my wind, and that should not be too hard. Alright, I'm en route. Let's go ahead and grab the GPS and see what it's telling me. I'll maybe keep it in the sun for less glare. This GPS has just got 3 screens. The one is just telling me satellite information. The first nav screen has given me those things, head and bearing, distance and speed. And the third screen is telling me bearing, time to go,
XTE and my speed at the bottom. What I would be looking at on this screen, bearing and heading there on the left, if I can get those two the same, then I've taken care of the wind. So I've got a bit of wind today, it's pretty strong, but with my correction now, we are counteracting that wind and going straight to the destination. So what I'm going to do is just do a little turn here and see how much of a lag there is on this. Just going to keep it balanced there, so not do too steep. And it's going to go into the shade. I hope you'll be able to see it. A little bit of a lag, but nothing more than a normal GPS. This kind of came out at a time when it seemed like internal storage was an issue. So this really doesn't have much space. It can take 100 landmarks in one route. It has got no preloaded data, no database for anything. And as you can see, we can scroll as much as we like. There's no move-in map or anything like that. So that's probably one of the biggest things we've seen in GPS development is just having better screens and better storage allows you to store a lot more useful information on here. This Garmin is the 430, and the screen I usually use is what I've got up here, which is just giving me distance, bearing, ETE, ground speed, track, and ETA. I really don't use more than that on the flying that we do. Ground speed is pretty crucial for working out wind during landing, making sure we don't have too much of a tailwind for a one-directional airstrip. Distance and ETA is obviously useful. More than that, I don't really use it. I mean, occasionally we'll flip across to this map and have a look at airspace, but in Lesotho, not too much going on and just kind of one airspace to worry about. Let's have a look quickly and just compare here. Ground speed 138 on the Magellan and 138 on the Garmin. Track, let's have a look here. It's called as it head-in on the Magellan, 123. 124, so that's within a degree. Estimated time to go there is 11 minutes and 11 minutes. So that is pretty amazing. Just that such an old thing is getting exactly the same data and accuracy seemingly as something newer that we rely on every day. Going into the menu, not much there. We've got landmarks. We can just look through our landmarks, our route if we want. The time, elevation 12.4, and I'm just below 12 on a QNH, so I would say that's within reasonable limitations there. Battery seems to be using up quicker than the advertised 24 hours. These were new batteries and I've hardly used it, so that's maybe one thing that's changed.
So in conclusion, I would say I'm pretty impressed with what it can do for a 22-year-old device that was simple to start with. I was really impressed that it was still able to get satellites. It was super accurate, exactly the same information that the onboard Garmin 430 was giving me, and just pretty impressive that it's lasted this long and that it's still able to work. So I think that concludes it for now. That was fun to look at that. I've got a couple plans for future videos, so stay tuned. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss those in the weeks to come, and follow the links below for who we are as a family and what we're doing in Lesotho, and you can always follow me on Instagram at Grant Strugnell. Thanks for watching, and until next time, cheers.